Good morning. It's Monday, April 7th. The multi-front war in the Middle East is now 549 days old. I'm your host, Jonathan Schanzer, coming at you live, not from Israel this time, but from the United Arab Emirates. Welcome back to the FDD Morning Brief. More domestic chaos in Israel as the so-called Qatar Gate controversy continues to gain steam. Speaker Klein, the Jerusalem Post's editor-in-chief, is defiant amidst allegations that he took direction from Qatar. I've met Speaker and I'm inclined to believe him, but the investigation continues. Two senior advisors to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are the ones who are seemingly on the hot seat right now. According to reports, the stories they are telling their interrogators are not in total alignment. And this is all happening against the backdrop of confirmed reports that Qatar was sending $30 million a month into Gaza with the full complicity of the Israeli government. The money helped Hamas pay for the 10/7 attacks. That's not conjecture. That's a fact. So as Qatar's malign influence penetrated Israel, we're slowly but surely trying to find answers here, folks, and it certainly does not seem pretty. Our guest today is Dr. Ahmed Atef, a former Yemeni diplomat who now serves as the representative of the Southern Transitional Council in the United States. The STC, folks, are the good guys in Yemen. We're going to discuss the threat posed by the Houthis both inside and outside of Yemen, Ahmed's work with the STC, and more. We'll serve that up in just a few short minutes, so sit tight for that interview. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is heading to the White House today. He'll meet with President Donald Trump and his senior advisors. Officially, the agenda includes the new tariffs on Israel, the war in Gaza, Turkish influence in Syria, and the ongoing lawfare against Israel by the International Criminal Court. I don't doubt that these things are on the agenda, and the tariffs seem particularly important, but Bibi would not fly all the way to D.C. without Iran on the agenda. I think these two men are talking about an attack on that nuclear program. Yes, Trump has offered the regime in Iran an opportunity to negotiate. And yes, he said that he prefers diplomacy over war, but he also vowed not to let Iran go nuclear. Ditto for Bibi. Both men know that Iran's air defenses are down. Israel took care of that in October of last year. The Ayatollah's skies are naked. There's an image for you. Bibi and Trump know that if they want to take out the Iranian nuclear program, the window is now. I don't know how long they have, but I'm guessing the window closes by the fall, maybe sooner. Forget the tariff, folks. They're painful, but they're not the main event. I think the United States and Israel may finally be arriving at the moment of truth. Some observers are cheering for an attack. Some are warning against it. I believe the risk is probably worth the reward. Will Bibi and Trump arrive at the same conclusion? We'll soon find out. Now for your headlines. Headline 1. In June 2021, Hamas asked Iran for $500 million to help fund the destruction of the state of Israel. Hamas chiefs Yahya Sinwar and Mohammed Atef sent a letter to Ismail Ghani, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds Force. In their letter, Sinwar and Atef asked Tehran to transfer $20 million per month over 2 years. The terror chief said they were confident that they would uproot the state of Israel by the end of that 2-year period, if not sooner. Israeli troops found this letter in a Gaza tunnel. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz presented it during a weekend visit to Israel's Military Intelligence Directorate. Katz said that the head of the IRGC's Palestinian division accepted Hamas's request and pledged to dish out the cash despite Iran's crumbling economy because, well, destroying Israel is a priority for Iran. According to Katz, this letter proves what we've known all along, that Iran is the head of the octopus. The terror and chaos in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Yemen, and the West Bank, it all tracks back to the regime in Tehran. Headline 2, Iran isn't just orchestrating terror in the Middle East. On Saturday, the Washington Post reported that the regime hired a Georgian drug trafficker to assassinate a rabbi in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijani authorities foiled the plot back in January. The IRGC Quds Force allegedly recruited the Georgian criminal to murder Rabbi Shneur Siegel and attack a Jewish education center in Azerbaijan. Citing Western and Middle Eastern sources, the Post reported that an IRGC officer passed a photo of Sigal to the Georgian recruit with instructions on how to carry out the murder. The assassin's fee was $200,000. The whole thing bears an eerie resemblance to the kidnapping and murder of a rabbi right here in the United Arab Emirates last November. 3 Uzbek nationals carried out that crime, potentially at the behest of the regime in Iran. The trio were sentenced to death last week. Headline 3, the United States has sent another THAAD air defense system to Israel. That's an acronym. It stands for Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System. These are for knocking ballistic missiles out of the sky, like the ones the Houthis have been firing in Israel since December 2023. It almost seems as if Israel and the United States are bracing for more Houthi attacks as the U.S. steps up its aerial bombardments of the Iran-backed jihadis in western Yemen. This is the second THAAD we have seen deployed to Israel. Each system apparently requires a team of around 100 warfighters, and those interceptors are said to cost at least $7 million a piece. Some say it's twice that. What's amazing is that the system is fully integrated with Israeli air defenses. From what I hear, American operators appreciate the opportunity to get a chance to test out the system in a live fire setting. I can also tell you this. The Israeli people are even more appreciative that the system is preventing Houthi attacks from doing any real damage to Israel. At least that's the case so far. All right, it's time for that interview now with Dr. Ahmed Atef of the Southern Transitional Council. They're the guys that are on the ground in Yemen, and when the Houthis eventually lose, they're the ones who are probably going to take over, inshallah, as they say. So let's dive right in. Welcome to the program, Ahmed Atef.
Thank you, Jonathan, for inviting me. I really appreciate that. This is a wonderful show that we are following. It's very educational. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to it.
Well, thank you for joining us. All right, I would like you to start with the basics. I think most Americans probably don't know much about Yemen. Yemen is in a state of civil war. So let's just maybe tell the basic story. When did that start? Why did it happen? What are we looking at right now?
Yeah, I started when Houthis, this is the name of the group who came from Saada, from the north part of Sana'a, to Sana'a and occupied Sana'a and made a coup against the legitimate president at that time, Abdurrahman Mansour Hadi. So they put him in jail, in his house arrest, and they tried to vanish him, but he managed to escape to Aden, and that was in 2014. So he managed to escape to Aden, and this is the capital city of the south. Then they followed him, and they sent their plane, and they tried to destroy him and his group. But the Southern people stood against them with the help of the United Arab Emirates and Saudis, friends. And it took 3 months for the Southern to defeat the Houthis in the south. Now they are not existing in the south at all. So Houthis are combined now to the territories in the north, except some parts of Marib, as far as I know. So all started with the coup, and they've been illegitimate. And since then, they opened the door of Yemen to Iran. So we saw Iran having strong existence. Since then, they supplied them with missiles, with all the technologies that they are using now against the maritime and the Red Sea, unfortunately, against Israel and against everyone. So that's the essence of it. And the UN tried to have a peaceful negotiation with them. But they've been really refusing to negotiate or even to do any, to be engaged in any political solution. So here we are.
And we have, obviously, we've got the UN involved. We have an envoy that was working for the for the Biden administration, Tim Lenderking. He's actually still working for the Trump administration right now. He's one of the few holdovers. He's still trying to get a deal done that would bring peace to Yemen. But so when we look at the map, let me just make sure that we have this right. You have on the west coast of Yemen, near the Horn of Africa, in the northern part of Yemen, you have Houthi control, and their capital is Sana'a. And then below that, further south, in the also on the west side of Yemen, you have Aden, which is the capital of the STC. This is the southern areas. Further east, it's a bit more like no man's land, right? It's contested territories throughout the desert. Do I have this
northeast,
correct?
actually. Yeah, northeast. But we have to the east, we have got the area where it is rich of oil, minerals in the south. We have Shabwa, we have Hadramaut, Mahara. These are very rich regions with oil and natural gas as well. And also the scenery. I mean, the country is beautiful. I mean, all the coastal area from Bab al Mandab or to Al Mahra, this is really awaiting for investment in tourism, and the weather is inviting for tourism when there is stability in the region and the war is over. We hope that the war will be over soon, so that this country's potential will be beneficial to all countries in the world, especially the United States, because we know President Trump have got the vision of developing and making life, away from the old rhetoric and the wars in many parts of the world. And we appreciate really the firm position of the Trump administration against Houthis and preventing Iran from having a hold in that country.
Yeah, I can imagine now we'll see Trump Tower in Aden and maybe another Trump Tower in Sana'a if things go in that direction.
Hopefully.
I've been to Yemen. I went there in 2003. It's been a very long time since I was there. And I can only say that I certainly hope for stability in the near future. And I think that there is a chance for that because, of course, you have the U.S. right now striking Houthi targets throughout the country. You've got the STC fighting on the ground against the Houthis. And what it looks like right now, it looks like they're fighting the Houthis together. This seems like a tacit alliance. So what is it that the STC wants from the United States? And do you think that the STC will get that from the United States?
Okay, this is a good question. Actually, we in the STC are actually looking at ourselves as a strong local partner of the United States in its war against Houthis, because we have been fighting Houthis for the last 10 years. And still, as we speak, the confrontation between STC forces and the Houthis is still going on along the borders of 1990 between the two Yemen's, north and the south, because these two countries were fully independent until May 22nd, until May 22nd, 1990, when they both merged together according to agreement between the two presidents. And unfortunately, that union failed. That's why I'm not referring to this entity as Yemen. It's a Republic of Yemen that was created according to this agreement in 1990 between the two leaders. This failed in 1994 when the North occupied the South. So STC is considered as a local partner against not only Houthis, but also against Al-Qaeda, the terrorist group that is using Houthis, and they have alliance with Houthis to invade the southern territories in Wadi Umran, in Abyan, for example, in Al-Baida, in Shabwa. They have been there using these difficulties of the situation and using the help of the Houthis to inflict harm on the southern forces. But despite that, the southern forces are defending themselves for the last 10 years. So it's something that's been continuing, maybe away from the media, but that's the reality of the situation. Now, we think that we are strong local partners with the United States because Houthis are our enemy. And we don't want to see the United States to send forces on the ground or to have this conflict as costly for the US, but we can do the job with the logistic support of the United States and the international community. Because
and I think just to clarify for listeners and viewers right now, when we look at this landscape, I mean, first of all, as you heard Dr. Atef say, this is a country that's already been at civil war. So this is the second civil war that we've seen in 35, 40 years. This is really terrible for the country. It was divided into North and South back then. It's divided into North and South again. What makes it even more complicated is that you have the existence of what they call AQAP, Al-Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula. They're located in central Yemen. You also have the Muslim Brotherhood called the Islah Party. They're in the middle of all of this. And you've got the Houthis and you've got the STC. So there's a reason why you probably haven't read much about this. It's very complicated and difficult to track. And I think the STC is probably I don't think it is the best partner that the U.S. could ask for. But let me ask you this. Your organization is getting support from the UAE. Why is the UAE involved here? And the Saudis, too, they're also involved in this. They're trying to tip the balance in this conflict. So why are the Gulf states getting involved?
Very good question, actually. The Saudi Arabia and UAE want to see peace and stability in the whole country. They've been really effective and doing their a lot of good efforts since what we call the GCC initiative for peace in Republic of Yemen. But that initiative was, tried to make a peaceful transfer of power from Ali Abdullah Saleh in Sana'a to Abdul Mansur Hadi has been failed because of the Houthis coup, as I mentioned earlier. Now, the Houthis are opening the doors to Iran to come to Sana'a and to occupy the whole Republic of Yemen, and then occupying Aden as well. So they were there. So there was no choice except the President Hadi at that time to call for the assistance of the Saudis and the UAEs and other Gulf countries to support our people against the Houthis. That's how it started, and without the help of the UAE and the Saudis, it would be very difficult for the Saudis to free their lands from the hands of the Houthis.
Yeah, and I think it's important for folks to know that before the Houthis started attacking the United States and Israel in the aftermath of the October 7th war, the Houthis, I guess they stopped doing it somewhere around May or April even of 2023. They had previously been attacking the Saudis and the Emiratis. They had been attacking their airports and attacking their territory. And so the Saudis were engaged in an aerial bombardment campaign against the Houthis. The Emiratis had put special forces on the ground tackling the al-Qaeda groups and the Houthis. So what we're watching now is an effort to, I suppose, delegate the STC to continue the fight as they've stepped out of the battle. So let me ask you this then. They've deputized you to try to win back Yemen. What is the STC's vision for the country? What are you trying to achieve?
Okay, so STC is fighting for peace and stability. And we believe also in the peaceful development of the future of this Republic of Yemen. We would like to negotiate it with the other parties that you mentioned, the Islah Party, who are part of the government now. This is the internationally recognized government in Aden. So we have got the Islah Party, we have got the General People's Congress Party. They are part of this coalition, say, government, and the STC as well. So we don't want really to solve things by force. We want to negotiate. We want to really put the Southern cause on the table with the other partners and with the support of the region, Saudis and UAE and the United States and the United Nations as well. We want to see a new system working. We want to be independent, and that's our goal since day one. We've been really not hiding it. We want to be independent state as we used to be prior to 1990. But we don't want to achieve that through blood. We don't want to achieve that through military confrontation because we see other enemies are there. And the priority for us really to join arms with United States and with Saudis, UAEs to confront the Houthis at this time because the Houthis are a danger for everybody. And if they continue without being confronted, then it's going to be really a big problem.
It certainly is. Last question before I let you go. How do we view the wider war in the Middle East? I mean, obviously, Iran is the ultimate problem here. It's the big funder of the Houthis, but also the big funder of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Hashd al-Shabi, the Shiite militias that are active, or at least were active in Syria, now still existed in Iraq. But I mean, things have changed quite a lot over the last few months, right? I mean, we've now seen a lot of these groups starting to weaken, and now we see the U.S. striking the Houthis in northern Yemen. So do you see things moving in the right direction right now? Do you feel more confident, more optimistic? How do you think things will end? We usually hear on this program from the Israelis or from Iranians or even Lebanese as they talk about what's been going on in the region. I don't think we've had a Yemeni on this program before. So when you look at it from your vantage point, how do you see the war playing out?
Well, I'm optimist. And I think the firm position of President Trump's administration is making all this difference that you mentioned. Now, this what they call axis of resistance, they've been really greatly weakened in the last 2 months, for example, than it was before. And that's a good thing because that's going to create stability in the region. So Iran, when it's been checked by the US, that really makes all the difference against the proxies. Their proxies, not only in Lebanon or Iraq, but also in Yemen, Houthis. So I hope that the Houthis will really be weakened more with what is going on now, so that finally and ultimately we'll have peace and end of this war that's been lasting for 10 years. That's really very long time, for a war, especially for a poor country that's really being affected humanitarily from the war. So we would like to see peace and stability, and that's to be durable, to be really lasting, because other artificial measures that are not going to solve. So President Trump administration is doing a great job on that, and we are joining arm in arm with all these great efforts to really confront Houthis and establishing peace in the country.
Well, I wish you and the STC much luck in your battles with the Houthis. I want to thank you, Dr. Ahmed Atef, for joining us today on the FDD Morning Brief.
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate your invitation.
All right, first Houthi on the FDD Morning Brief. Here's what FDD has on tap for you today. First, Yemeni, not Houthi. Check out the latest episode of FDD's Foreign Policy, guest hosted by FDD CEO Mark Dubowitz. He's joined by former Israeli National Security Advisor Jacob Nagel, now a senior fellow at FDD, to discuss Iran's nuclear capabilities and the regime's ongoing efforts to destabilize the Middle East. At FDD, we have a mantra: maximum pressure on the regime in Iran should be paired with maximum support for the Iranian people, maybe maximum support for the southern Yemeni people too. So what would maximum support from the United States look like to the Iranian people? Glad you asked. As it turns out, FDD is hosting an event today on exactly that topic. You can catch the live stream at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on our website. That's fdd.org. Finally, the April edition of FDD's Trump administration foreign policy tracker is live. The special report compiles assessments from our experts on the administration's foreign policy across various areas, offering trend lines from very positive to neutral to negative to very negative. Check it out on our website for our balls and strikes assessments, and keep coming back for our nonpartisan analysis each month as our experts weigh in with neither fear nor favor. And that's going to wrap it up for today, folks. If you're hungry for more Middle East insights, check out the expert analysis on our website, fdd.org. Read our quick takes on X at FDD, or take a peek at our Instagram and YouTube channels, and make that tax-deductible donation today at fdd.org/invest. Our donors keep FDD's engines running, and we are truly grateful to each and every one of them for making our work possible, including the FDD Morning Brief. Tune in Wednesday for another gripping episode of this program. I'll be joined by American television personality Eric Stakelback. He hosts The Watchmen on TBN. He's been meticulously tracking the war in the Middle East, and his analysis is top-notch. So I hope to see you then. From the heart of the Middle East, I'm Jonathan Schanzer, signing off for FDD.